So, welcome everybody. As we start rolling on in, I'll just keep this right into the beginning so we can capture as much for the replay as possible. And we've only got 30 minutes with Tim today. So it's Nick Perro and Lawrence Winterman coming in on the Sick of This show with our good friend and repeat guest, Tim Fullerton, from the Find Out podcast, and a special event going on tomorrow that we wanted to help get the word out for, which is the FAFO50 event. And Tim, I want to give you the floor to introduce and talk about it.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. Always a pleasure to be with you. And hello, everybody here. So, yes, I am the co-host of something called the Find Out podcast, where our goal is to help move men to the left, because obviously the left has a demographic problem with all men. And we are partnering tomorrow with Governor Newsom and YouTuber Brian Tyler Cohen on a virtual fundraising event called I'll say the whole name because we're all adults here. It's called the Fuck Around Find Out 50. And what it is this is our fundraising effort to help fund the gerrymandering ballot initiative in California, which is called Yes on 50. That's the number it was assigned, which is going to happen in November. And if the Democrats if the initiative passes, the Democrats will gerrymander 5 more congressional district seats for Democrats in response to what I would call illegal gerrymander in Texas that just happened, where they took 5 seats away from the Democrats. So this is both fighting fire with fire, but also doing it in a way in which the public gets a voice on whether we're doing it or not, which they did not do in Texas. So we'll just get the URL out there early. It's FAFO50. So it's the letters FAFO and then the number 50.com. You could RSVP there. We have to win this, and that's why we're doing this event tomorrow night with all kinds of politicians, like Elizabeth Warren will be joining us. Obviously, Governor Newsom will be there. The cast of The West Wing will be there, who I actually get to interview, which is amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's Martin Sheen and Bradley Whitford and Dule Hill, and I think there's one other, but they're still working to confirm. So it's going to be influencers and media types interviewing celebs and politicians. So it'll be a little different from just hearing one person talk at one time.
Yeah.
And we're super pumped about it. I think we're going to have a great crowd.
That's awesome. I mean, you obviously talked about one part that you might be most excited about. What are you most excited about for tomorrow?
Most excited about is getting everybody together and explaining why this is so important. Generally, Democrats say gerrymandering is bad because generally gerrymandering is bad. But when you've got a side of the aisle that is not playing by the rules anymore and is basically trying to grab power away from the people, we're really left with no choice. And that's why Governor Newsom rightly, I think, said, no, we're going to push back and we're going to meet you and we're going to eliminate your advantage. Think that we need to educate people on why that's important, and we have to win this, because otherwise we are going to have to try to swing 10 seats next year to take back the House. And we have to grind this Trump administration's efforts to a halt. And the House is the most important part. We're going to try to get the Senate too, but the House is really important because then we'll have oversight control and can issue subpoenas and really grind them into a halt and stop this destructiveness that they have been, implementing over the past 8 months.
Awesome. So I know is just a first event so far, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming just a first event so far, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more of these. Other than just the link, what is the best? I mean, go to the link, sign up. I've already done it. I think Lawrence has already done it. I think a couple others from Banner and Backbone have already done it. We're going to be there in force because it's a learning opportunity. Can you explain what we could expect possibly to learn from tomorrow's event and how we can best support getting the word out now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the most important thing is how important this ballot initiative is. I mean, if you really look at it, Gavin Newsom is putting his career on the line for doing this. I think everybody knows, he's term limited, and that's probably not his last run for political office. And so he's putting it all on the line, and we have to get his back. I mean, we have talked forever about needing Democrats to fight back, not talk about strongly worded letters or like, oh, there's nothing we can do. And it's like, no, the American public is desperate for action from Democrats, and we have to support that. So tomorrow night, you will hear from folks across the country about why we are all depending on California to help us. Because, if we are not successful here, Republicans are going to go to Indiana, they're going to go to Missouri, they're going to continue to try to find places where they can eke out extra seats. And we don't actually have as many options, maybe one in Maryland and maybe one in Illinois, but there's a lot of, so if we can show that this is politically damaging, it's strong, it's a more likely that they will stop. So I think you'll learn a lot about why this is so important. I think you will learn about things you can say to your friends and family in California to encourage them, because that's a big part of this. Like, just like, well, this is a California ballot initiative, but pretty much everybody knows somebody in California, right? If it was on its own, it's the fourth largest economy. It's got the most largest population. So, like, we need everybody to tell their friends and family why this off-year ballot initiative is so important, because they don't do these very often. So it's not in their nature. It's not muscle memory. This is new. So it's
Yeah.
really, really important. And we also can't just win this by one. We have to overwhelmingly win this to send a message that, we don't want what the Republicans are selling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, you've already mentioned this, but can you kind of emphasize the fact that this is a ballot initiative and not just Governor Newsom or the legislature doing it by fiat?
Yeah, it's a great distinction between what is happening in Texas and what is happening in California. So Texas unilaterally, at the governor's level and the Republicans in the state legislature, just decided to do this, what's called an off-cycle gerrymander, which has never happened before, or maybe one time it has happened. And I think it was actually Texas the last time, like 20 years ago, doing a same power grab. But generally speaking, the redistricting is supposed to happen after a census, because the census determines how many people live where, and then we need to make sure that everybody is fairly represented. None of that happened this time. They were only 5 years into the gerrymander that they had already done, by the way.
Right.
And what Gavin Newsom has said is, I'm going to match that, but I'm only going to do it if the people back me up. I'm not going to do it like some king or something like that. I am going to stay within the bounds of the representative democracy that we've got. And so that's why it is so important and why it's different, because we didn't start this fight, right? Like, we didn't, and everyone's like, well, Illinois has gerrymandered. Oh, everybody has gerrymandered, but no one has done an off cycle except, like I said, maybe one time. That's why it's so important. And that's why the distinction is we are doing it with the people, and they are doing it based on what Donald Trump asked them to do and what their big donors wanted them to do.
It's the difference between taxation with representation and
Right.
taxation without representation.
That's
Like,
a great analogy, Nick.
Correct.
we literally started a revolution to have taxation with representation. And California is putting it on the ballot for people to once again say, should I be taxed and represented in Congress
Right.
and around the country, not just in California? Like, this is step one. So I guess I want to ask, what is the biggest step what is the biggest thing you're hoping to get out of this, other than California obviously winning this ballot initiative and the people winning this ballot initiative to redistrict California in a way that is hopefully going to help save the American democracy and restore it in some way that is better than what we've got? What do you think the next steps are going to be?
The next steps are going to be ensuring that they don't try this in Missouri and Indiana, and grind this into the ground and make it politically untenable for them to do that. Then, using hopefully a big victory, and the polling looks good so far, but a overwhelming victory, which will generate momentum going into next year, which essentially, starting January 1, it's on for the midterms. I mean, they're already starting. We've already got candidates announcing, some really great candidates. We're actually having one of the main Senate candidates on tomorrow. Not the oyster farmer, but the guy Dan Kleben, who is actually the president CEO of Maine Beer Company, and
That's awesome.
and so, like, we're starting to help raise awareness about these candidates now, so they can raise some money now, because, like, he's gonna, they're gonna take on Susan Collins. That is a big opportunity for Democrats, I think. So I'm hoping that this is a slingshot into 2026 with momentum on our back, and, like, already having candidates with money that they can start investing in field operations and really be going door to door and educating people about what they're for and what they're trying to stop Republicans from doing, which is essentially destroying the economy, as we're seeing with a horrible jobs report this month, revisions in June, which was our first job losses in 4 years. The last person to lose jobs was Donald Trump. So it's like happening again with these tariffs and this economic uncertainty. So, you know, the wind is at our backs, but we need a tornado at our backs to push, or a hurricane, maybe is a better description, to ensure that we win a 30 to 40 seat majority next year, which I think is imminently doable, but we got to do the work.
Yeah, Tim, you've talked about how gerrymandering already exists in a lot of places, right? I'm in Indiana. I can tell you the map here is already gerrymandered. They can do work, like they can make it worse. You know, I guess for folks like me who are living in kind of ruby red states, you know, what do you think? What do you think we can do that's actionable?
I mean, I think there's a bunch of things that I think can do. One, obviously supporting the California initiatives, because like that's our real lever to get them to stop.
Yeah.
But look, like the members in Congress are not immune to pressure, and I think calling the members of, state legislators and national leaders and saying, stop this. I do not want you to do that. They do not like negative calls into their office. I'm not talking about emails. Phone calls or letters are more effective. And I'll give you an example of one state where this is really happening. Obviously it's happening in Indiana. They're trying to do this in Louisiana as well. And I'll give you, Nick, you mentioned the taxation without representation. Well, the population of Louisiana is about 33% Black. And right now they have, there are two minority majority districts, meaning mostly people of color in the majority. They're trying to steal one of those through the Supreme Court, not through, because there was a case that like made them basically go and make them be two districts. They're trying to get it down to one, which would mean that that Black Louisianans would be represented by about, what is that, 16% of the representatives when they are 33% of the population. So this is, and I assume the same thing will be happening in Indiana as well. And I think it is a real disgrace, and I think we have to raise hell about it everywhere. Protests do a good job sometimes of drawing press attention in areas. We're not really used to since 2008. We had the one victory there, but since then, not a lot of Democratic activity in Indiana. And I think like those types of things can make an impact. Like representatives do not like to see this stuff, and it hurts them. Yeah. So those are things I think can be effective, but I think even the local level, like getting people riled up, it's really, really important.
Yeah, great, thanks.
And I want to also chime in on Missouri is doing this. Like Missouri is working to actively do this too. I'm talking with the guys out of Centered America. They are from Missouri and are steeped in local politics too. So go support Centered America. They're another group that is putting a lot of really good content out and is fighting for positive change. Is there ways that we can help use this platform or other platforms to further support this effort? I know some of this but for some people, others in the audience too, is not just us, but what can others then do?
Yeah, I mean, it's supporting groups on the ground doing the work. I mean, a lot of times it's the local organizations that are the most effective rather than, trying to fund big groups to come in. Because, I'm from Maine, and like, look, anyone who's not born in Maine is from away. We call it from away. Even Angus King was born in Virginia, so he's a senator from Maine. He's not actually from Maine, according to us. So, like, you have to work with people on the ground, that people that are familiar, because the last thing anybody wants is somebody coming from DC or let alone New York, coming in telling them what to do. So it's like funding local groups is really, really important. And even just generally raising awareness, I mean, I know a lot of people get tired of political posts on social, but like, especially if you're not somebody that does it often, and I think we've talked about this before, it can be incredibly powerful to use your voice for the first time or second time. And, the thing that we have to remember is that there are more of us than them. Donald Trump has never won a majority. He won a plurality of the vote in 2024, and he lost the popular vote 2 other times. So like, he did not have a mandate. They did not have a mandate to cut $1 trillion from Medicaid and cut SNAP benefits in order to give tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires. And they're acting like they have a mandate. So the louder that we are, and especially when we're loud in corners that are not traditionally loud, it scares the living shit out of them. And so that's where you have power. You have a platform, whether you've got 10 followers or 10 million followers. you can influence somebody. So use that voice for good.
So where we're coming from, just so for all the folks who are coming in still, because I see plenty of people still rolling in, is the Fuck Around Find Out 50 event is going on tomorrow afternoon. I think 7 p.m. Eastern.
7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time.
And all you have to do is go to the website Lawrence just put into the chat. It's FAFO50.com. Super easy. Go register, go listen in. And because it's really important that California wins this proposition through the people, because it sends a message. So can you talk more about that message that it might send,
Yeah.
depending on how overwhelming this could become of a win, if it is overwhelming?
Yeah. So the thing that Donald Trump is most focused on right now is not losing the midterms. And so this is our best shot to make sure that the playing field stays even for next year. We are going to have elections. Donald Trump has no authority to cancel elections. So anybody who tells you that is either misinformed or lying. They are happening. They're not being canceled. They're happening. They're congressionally mandated. There's no way around it. So we need to make sure that this ballot initiative is the slingshot or the push of momentum that we need going into Q1 of next year. That's why that's so important. And I think it's been really exciting to see the sheer number of people who have volunteered to participate. You know, we've got serious guests like Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Jasmine Crockett is going to be with us. Maxwell Frost, who I think is the youngest member of Congress, or at least the youngest Democrat.
So.
And then, like I said, we've got a big portion of the West Wing cast. Leslie Jones, the comedian who used to be on SNL, is going to be on. At one point, she said she was going to dial in from a nail salon appointment, which would be hilarious for her. I think she's going to be
funny.
I think she's going to be in a more set setting than that. I'm trying to think of who else we had, but there is just a lot of who's confirmed. It's just a laundry list, and we're doing it differently. It's not just going to be one person saying why this is important. It's going to be multiple conversations amongst people, creators, and digital folks, along with politicians and celebrities. And like I said, I can't even believe I'm doing this, interviewing Martin Sheen, Bradley Whitford, Dule Hill, and I think at least maybe Mary McCormick is maybe
Mary
the other
McCormick.
one.
She's on the website. I'm looking right
she's
now.
on. So she's Jenna Maloney was supposed to be on, but her kid has an event, so she's not able to join. But
family first.
Yeah, and I mean the West Wing folks
Pete Buttigieg is going to be there.
Pete Buttigieg will be there.
Oh, holy crap! That's awesome.
Beto O'Rourke will be there.
Oh, nice. Jasmine awesome. Crockett.
Jasmine's there. Yeah, you're looking at the website. I'm on my phone with this,
so
I can't see. But
there's a lot of big names, Tim. This is amazing.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
I mean, it just shows you how important this is. And we, for those of you who don't, or for those of you who remember, we're modeling this off of the White Dudes for Harris call that we did last year, which I was one of the guys in that group. So it was basically like, we should take that and do that here. And there's no competition because we're all those affinity groups doing amazing things. But this time, this is one call for everybody. And so I think we're really excited to see how much we raise. I think we set a $50,000 goal. I think we're going to blow past that. Yeah. But that money is so important because Republicans have already said that they are going to be spending $75 to $100 million. So your contribution is going to matter greatly. And the earlier we get that money, the faster we can get out and educate Californians on why they need to do this and why they need to get out and vote.
And that money that is being spent by Republicans does not actually include the amount of money that Donald Trump is giving to them for free in bully pulpit airtime and advertising. So we need to be doubly on guard because he's going to use the bully pulpit for exactly that. He's going to bully. He's a bully. That's his whole fucking shtick. Is he bullies people and abuses them. So we have to fight back and be louder than this abuser. So let's recap real quick for everyone because I don't think everybody's heard the name yet. Is Tim, what's going on tomorrow night?
And tomorrow,
yep. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so we're going to be at FAFO50.com. That's FAFO50.com. Responding RSVP gives us a good sense of who's going to come. You can also donate right there. And if you donate to the fund, please donate on that site so that we all get the credit for raising it. Not that it's about credit, but, but to show people the power of this. And I think what's exciting is that there are so many creators, influencers like like what we're doing right now that really drove this one. Brian, Tyler Cohen and I were the ones that kind of came up with the idea and went to the Newsom folks and they were all about about it. And like, it's a signal for folks that like, there is a new playing field that is evolving out here. I mean, we've got 130 people on here right now talking
Yeah.
about this. And, you know, like this is the future of how, you know, persuasion and getting out information is going to be. You know, you're not going to be tuning in at 6 o'clock to the evening news. And I don't even know who does that anymore.
No.
You know, you're looking at at Substacks and TikTok and, you know, podcasts like the Find Out podcast and, you know, all of these things. And we're the ones picking up the mantle. And I think, you know, white guys haven't really been a strong voice in the Democratic Party, and we need to step up and do our part because we've really relied on Black women and women in general to carry the load. And it's time for us to stand up. And that's why I'm glad to see what you guys are doing. I'm very proud about what we're doing. And we are trying to change the demographics and increase the tent of the party
Yeah.
so that we can stop this nightmare once and for all.
Yeah, and I know I've said it before, is like you guys on the Find Out podcast made space for us. Like we're here, we have the space to be able to talk as loudly and as often as we do because the Find Out podcast, Midas Touch, Brian Tyler Cohen, David Packman, folks like that
Yep.
on the left who put themselves out there first and loudest. The white dude for Harris stuff. I remember going to that Zoom call when it was happening. I felt so good. Like I was like, wait, I don't objectively have to feel shitty about being white. Like I can just shed that off and actually feel good about being a person and then know that I'm like there's a trajectory. So I want to say thank you again because this is really awesome that you guys have given us this space to be
Oh,
able to do these things.
I mean, I think that the experience with white dudes, even though the outcome wasn't what we want, it just showed us that there is a community that we have not been engaging for a long time now, and it is time for us, especially men, to stand up and say no. The version of masculinity that Donald Trump and you know the Republicans talk about is not a healthy form of masculinity. It
Right.
is all about punching down, talking down on people to make yourself feel good. And that's not masculinity. My definition of masculinity is lifting people up, giving people a voice that don't, like using your power for good, not for tax cuts for billionaires, but like for SNAP benefit to give people the assistance they need to get up and do the bootstraps thing. Like the bootstraps thing is a misnomer. It's not a real thing, but like we can give people the steps to increase their quality of life. And they are the opposite, you know, masks, ICE agents, grabbing people that they don't even know if they've committed. Most of them haven't committed any crimes. That's not masculine. That's thuggery. And so we need to show men, like we're doing here, that there is a place for them on the left. And it is it is more masculine than being on the right because that is a bullshit masculinity. I'm sorry, a MMA fight or whatever it is on the mall, or excuse me, on the White House lawn is not
Jeez.
masculinity. It's actually the opposite. It is like,
Yeah.
it is, you're pumping your chest because you don't feel masculine. And so we have to change that conversation, right? So, you know, I heard they were doing talking about weigh-ins at the Lincoln Memorial, and I'm just like, this is so tacky and so ridiculous. Like, let's just help people live better lives. What a novel concept, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like do something good for other people. Frederick Pogue and I talked about this a little just before too, was the pulling up by your bootstrap idea and how fucking garbage it is because we've pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and every time we do, they just give our bootstrap to the rich robber baron and then they use it to put you back into slave labor. Like that's basically
Oh,
what we're in now. So what are your what are your goals after this? What are your hopes to continue this discussion after tomorrow? Because
well, we want
tomorrow's
to,
going to be huge. Tomorrow's going to be fun. What are your
yeah.
next steps?
Well, we got to keep the conversations going. And that's why I'm glad you guys have this show. And I'm glad that we have the Find Out podcast because, you know, this nonsense of like needing a Joe Rogan of the left, we actually just we need 1,000 people talking to 1,000 different audiences, which is something
Right.
I say until I'm blue in the face, which is why there's plenty of room for all of us to be involved. And I just hope that people find the community that they identify with and are a part of it. I mean, I think I've told you guys, but like we have people writing us from Oklahoma and Nebraska and being like, I am a liberal guy in a sea of red and I feel so alone. But when I listen to you, I feel part of something, which is exactly what we should be doing, is fostering building those relationships finding ways to organize people in their communities, or at least connect them to like-minded folks so they don't feel so alone. And that's why it's so exciting to see so much interest around this stuff. And that the left is, I think, finally waking up to the fact that we need to invest in these networks. And, we've got some big announcements coming. I can't talk about it yet, but like we've got some big stuff planned that is really, I think, going to send us in a different trajectory, which hopefully we can talk about in the next couple of weeks. But we're in it, and like we are doing this to win. We are honestly, like, revenue is important, but like we are here to win and to save this country from this fascist bullshit that is happening. And I think everybody just needs to find their place. And I think we will end up sending a lot of Republicans packing next year.
Nice.
Lawrence, final question. Tim's got a hard stop. We want to make sure he's able to get to.
Tim, I'm just excited, man. I don't know that I have another question. You've been really clear about kind of what tomorrow is and what kind of momentum we hope to get out of it. Just thank you for doing it. You mentioned that you and Brian Tyler Cohen were the ones that stepped up and reached out to Newsom. That's incredible, man. Like, that is just a great way to be able to leverage the platform that you've got and really make a difference nationally. So thank you.
I mean, it's so amazing to see everybody getting excited about it. And I think that's why we're doing it. And like, I've been in politics for 20 so years. So like, I know the levers, and we're going to use them, and we're going to win. And, like I said, like, I think we're definitely going to take back the House next year. I think we've got a good shot at the Senate, but we got to start now. And it's like this ballot initiative is so important. And I just hope that all of the folks that are listening, and I saw someone just put the URL again, but like, it's FAFO50.com, RSVP. And, you can watch me try to pretend to be a journalist, which is feeling a little intimidating at the moment. But I'm sure it will be fine.
Just Tim, pretend he's President Bartlett, and you're in the press corps. You're Danny Concannon interviewing President Bartlett. No big deal.
Don't put any pressure on him.
I got to think about some jokes because I watched the show when it was on. And,
me too. God,
one of the reasons I got into politics was the idealism that they had, and I think there's still a lot of that in this country. We got to hear it, so I'm really excited. I'll try to make them laugh. That's the best I could say. But I'm really excited about it tomorrow night, and I'm so glad everyone's going to join us for it.
So I really appreciate this conversation, Tim. Thank you so much for coming on again with us. I hope to see you again soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Obviously, I'll be watching. Everybody go to FAFO50.com, register, donate if you can, and spread the word. Also, hopefully I can encourage Tim to come back and have some more conversations around helping Hallie Schaffner unseat our senator here in Arkansas, Tom Cotton, because he fucking sucks.
Well, you got some angry farmers in Arkansas. I saw this weekend.
Yeah, we do. Maybe those MAGAs can come to the light and help us unseat Tom Cotton.
Well, they certainly fucked around in November, and they are finding out now, right?
Found out 50, right?
Yeah.
All 50 states finding out. So
that's right.
Join us. Join everyone tomorrow. Join Tim. Join Brian Tyler Cohen, the entire guest list that they have, Governor Newsom, tomorrow, FAFO50.com, 7:30 Eastern, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central?
4:30
Pacific, whatever.
5:30 Mountain, 6:30 Central.
Yeah, all the time zones of the U.S. Let's do it. Tim, it was so much fun. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
y'all. Have a great day.